you've now had a day or two to process the Notre Dame game. Rewatching the tape, what did you like about your team?
Just our never quit mentality. Just really proud of the way we answered the bell. Has kind of been my message the whole year. We're slow starters, man. Just, it's 14-0 before you know it, you know what I mean? But just proud of the way we responded in the second half. Our guys never quit. Did a lot of good things. Special teams, probably our worst performance of the year, special teams wise, and obviously that hurt us. You definitely can't lose that phase against a team that's, that you're overmatched with. You got to win the special teams. When we lost that phase, end of the first half also didn't help us. But again, to our kids' credit, they battled hard. Second half, we shut them out shut them out. We've the most scored against Notre Dame this year was 32 by North Carolina. You know what I mean? And so proud of the guys doing that. I mean, they held Ohio State at 21, so that's a good defense. So just proud of the way our guys played. Just wish we could have just played a little bit better. Wish we could have coached a little bit better. But proud of the way our guys battled.
Heading into UCF this week, what's been the message to the team?
Again, hopefully it just gives us, hope that we just got to stay the course. Told them the same thing going into the Notre Dame game after Cincinnati. Just those guys, we got to just keep battling, hang in there. We got to continue to do our job, just a couple plays here and there. But, our message is we just got to stay the course. It's going to be a tough team. They're really good. Coach Malzahn's done a really good job. It's a team that we beat last year. This is a totally different year, obviously, and a different team, different guys. They got transfers in there. They're playing really well right now, leading our conference. And so it's going to be a great challenge down there at their place. But hopefully these last two games, playing at Cincinnati, playing against Notre Dame, will hopefully give us the best type of preparation for such a team like this.
And lastly, beating them last year, what type of confidence does this give the guys heading into this year's game, knowing that this game is definitely winnable?
Well, we know how good they are. We know that, a lot of good players. We know how fast they are. We saw them in person last year, but again, they got some new players too, and they're playing really well now. That's the tough part. They're playing really well right now. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. But, we're watching last year's tapes, and, there's some guys back. And so we just, hopefully will give us some tangible evidence that, it can be done. It's going to be hard. Obviously, we had to knock the ball, interception at the end of the game to win. But, it's going to be tough, but, it can be done.
Thank you.
So,
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what's it about the culture and what you see from that culture on the tape of UCF going from coach to coach to coach over the last several years, where they've maintained that high level and actually even taken it up another notch defensively to a team that was already so good offensively?
Well, I'm trying to just go back to Coach O'Leary, but you just go from Coach O'Leary, I think Scott Frost was next, obviously to now. And Heupel, was in there. A lot of good coaches, great coaches, and they've had a lot of good players. And I've always said that's a bad, combination for us. Really good coaches, good players, and I think that's been the big issue, big reason they've had this success. Guys that are, good coaches, and it's a lot of talent down there in the Orlando area, Central Florida. There's a lot of talent down there, and they've done a good job recruiting this year, getting guys in, and so they've done a nice job building their program.
What have you seen from them in these recent weeks where they've really turned things on and almost look like a different team than they looked like early in the season?
They're high octane. They can run the ball and hurt you so many different ways. Perimeter, they can throw the ball deep. They got speed everywhere. Quarterback, running back, receivers, big and athletic line. You know, super athletic on defense. So that's the thing I've seen. Just they've, you know, picked it up a notch. I say that they scored 70 something against Temple, but you know, they're such high octane, and you know, Gus is super creative on offense. So he's got a lot of different ways to hurt you with different, you know, runs and play passes, RPO. He's just got so many different things. It's kind of a fun offense to watch on TV. I don't like seeing it from the sideline though.
Yeah. Could this be the toughest environment that you possibly play in on the road this year? What they call their bounce house?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, you know, Cincinnati's won 30 straight games at home. that's a tough place to do too. But probably, I mean, this will be a tough environment.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
Coach, you talked about Xavier briefly in the post game, but can you kind of expound after watching the tape? He seems to be running the offense very well, and he provides a running threat, which you really do need at your quarterback position.
Yeah, Wags, he's been playing lights out, I think. I mean, he's been getting us in the right play. Coach Jasper has done a phenomenal job getting him ready. He's done a great job of, you know, when he's behind Ty, coming to meetings and listening. And now that it's his turn, well, it's not like he hasn't played before. Obviously, he's played in some big games in previous years, and you know, it's not like he's an inexperienced quarterback. But I think he's played really well. For our offense, the quarterback's always got to get us into the right play first and foremost. And then he's got to get the ball to the right person. And then he's got to provide plays with his legs and his arm. And Xavier's doing all of that. The biggest thing I'm super excited about is throwing the ball well. You know, and earlier on in his career, I don't know if it's a confidence deal or he wouldn't turn the ball loose. He's turning it loose and he's throwing the ball really well. And so I couldn't be more happy for the kid. He's playing really, really well. And quite frankly, Wags, I mean, Masai coming in. I mean, those are some tough spots to be put in. You know what I mean? Cold, you know, sit on the sideline for 2 hours. I'll say, hey, grab your helmet, jump in there. You know, you jump in there versus Cincinnati, then you jump in there versus the Irish. And again, Coach Jasper's done an unbelievable job getting them both ready. And, you know, to X's credit, Xavier credit, he's played really well. I thought he played really well at Cincinnati, and he played better in this game. You know what I mean? So that's the exciting thing. He improved from this Cincinnati to Notre Dame, and I thought X played really good against Cincinnati.
Can you talk about the running threat he brings on the perimeter? He had another nice option keeper. He had 2 nice runs against Cincinnati. He had another one against Notre Dame. And then the one thing is he had a pass where he scrambled. Sometimes when you drop back, you got to scramble, and he turned that into a big play.
Well, he did that last week too. He did it. I mean, he did it against Cincinnati too. Same thing. He's had some big runs on scrambles. But it's just, I mean, it's who we are. We're an option team. You know what I mean? And so maybe early on, some of the guys, you know, we're doing some things to try to force the ball, to box the ball to the quarterback and make him run. You know, with X, you know, that's his strength. You know, Ty was a distributor throwing the football. X, you know, his strength there, his legs, and his leadership. You know, he's done a really good job going in there and leading the team. But like I said, Wags, so I'm excited about the running aspect, but we knew that. I mean, that's not the deal. It's the other part, being able to get this in the right play and do other things, which he's done a really good job. And I think his biggest improvement I see him doing is just his ball distribution. You know, sometimes, you know, wouldn't pitch it or, you know, the leer of that, but he's operating on all cylinders. And when he's throwing the football, throwing the ball well. So I feel confident. I told him this week before the game, he goes, I feel more confident going into the Notre Dame game than I did Cincinnati, just because X hadn't played in a while. And how would he respond? And he responded great against Cincinnati. So when I saw that, I goes, okay, X is on point, man. He's going to play well. And he took his game up another level against Notre Dame. And so it's the biggest thing, we got to get him healthy, which I believe he'll be ready to go. But couldn't be more pleased where he's at, because when he's operating like that, we can operate. Like I said, I mean, he scored 32 points against a team that Clemson scored 14. You know, I mean, there have been some high-powered teams that couldn't move the ball on them. So I just know, having been in this offense for so long, when that dude's operating like that, we're a hard team to stop.
So you've played really tight against some real heavyweight teams, SMU, Cincy, Notre Dame. What would it mean to the program if you could beat Central Florida on the road? Do you think that could really be a huge confidence lift going into your biggest game of the year to finally get over the hump and get one of these games?
No doubt, Wags. You hit it right on the head. It's kind of like we get to the top of the mountain, and then we tumble back down. You know what I mean? We climb, and we're right at the top and tumble back down. It would be awesome for our program, for our seniors, for our team, to be able to get over the hump. Obviously, catapult us to the next one, but we're not thinking about that. It'll just be a byproduct, as you said, of winning that game. We got to put all of our focus on UCF. You know what I mean? They're the best team in our league right now. And so we know this is going to be a great challenge. At third place, they're playing really well right now. But I agree with it. Just hopefully, though, these last couple of games will tell our guys we can play with these people. Have trust and believe in your teammates. Trust and believe in the scheme. Trust and believe in your own abilities. We can play with these people. And we're getting ready to play another talented team. It's going to be really, really hard to beat. But we just got to continue to stick to our formula. Just like we did last, we had the ball almost 40 minutes, keep them off the field. Fortunately, last year we scored, after, which we got to do this time. We got to eat the clock and score. And, I wasn't too happy, obviously, the end of the first half of last week. But I'm also not happy to start the second half. We had that long drive, but we got to come more than 3 points. You know what I mean? You use 11 minutes and get 3 points. We can't do that against these guys. They're so explosive, Wags. I mean, they got speed. they got. I mean, these guys give you wind burns, man. They got speed coming all over the place. Just so a couple of weeks ago, getting ready for Cincinnati, and had the dubious task of watching it versus UCF. I'm like, oh my gosh. You just trying to get ready for UCF, and then you see them. I'm like, hey, we'll worry about that, monster when we get to. We got to face this monster. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough challenge. But it would be a awesome for us, and we're hopeful. And our kids are believing, and hopefully have another great week of practice and be ready to go down to Central Florida and give it our best.
I was going to add that the 32 points was the most points scored by Navy against Notre Dame since 2014, when a junior Keenan Reynolds led Navy to 39 points. Pete Medhurst, you're up.
Was that
Scott?
FedEx?
I was at FedEx. That's correct.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. Coach, for UCF, they've had success with both Keene and Plumlee, but what's the dynamic of Plumlee's running ability? Just what does that do to their offense, certainly in preparation for it, because he adds such an explosive element in the running game?
Yeah, when your quarterback runs, it just adds another gap. It just adds more, you need another hat. We faced some fast guys with Tune and Mordecai. Mordecai could fly. Fortunately, they're a throwing team, but because, they're a running team and they're got a lot of weapons that they can use, probably being able to run, it just stretches you all over the place. You know what I mean? Pete, they stretch you horizontally and vertically with their speed. And yeah, as we speak right now, Coach Newberry's a couple of offices down there watching film right now. It's gonna be a tall order for us because of all the problems present, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I was going to say that 87-yard run. Set the tone right away for them against Tulane. The other night. On the other side, Johnson at linebacker, Morris Brash along the defensive line. That guy plays like a monster. All the hullabaloo around Gus and the offense, I almost think over the last couple of years, and maybe even longer than that, I don't think UCF necessarily maybe gets the proper credit on the defensive side of the ball. They've done a solid job, but especially those two guys And as you evaluate the defense, certainly what kind of challenges do they present this week?
I agree with you, Pete. I mean, they're known for Gus's offense, and they need to be. I mean, they're high octane. They score a ton of points in bunches, but they are really good on defense. You know, be where they're at right now was, against Cincinnati. You know, they got some turnovers last week, and so it's their defense is playing really well too.
I want to expand on the point you made about Ivan a couple of minutes ago. Many times, especially now, you have kids that almost need a complete mechanical rebuild when they come to play for you at his position. The improvement in X from a passing standpoint, the fact that I can step in off the bench and just drop a couple of massive dimes like he did at Cincinnati, and then come out and play on the stage like he did the other day. Just what is it about his coaching, his techniques, his ability to get in there with that toolbox and rebuild a lot of these guys so that they can become, obviously in this case, very productive within your offense?
Yeah, and you don't want to make excuses, but to answer your question, so you come from the pandemic. I mean, the kid came straight from high school. He'd never been under center before. He was a lacrosse player that was in the gun in high school. He just outran everybody. He was the best athlete on the field. Nobody could catch him. And so he didn't get a chance to work with Ivan that whole camp, because we didn't see the freshman until the week to school started. So I don't know if you guys remember, we played Tulane when he started because we knew he was talented, but we were in the gun because we were trying to accommodate him a little bit, knowing that some of the stuff under center. And so obviously it takes some time to do that. And then really that spring, we didn't do much either because some of the stuff that happened. And then he went through the year where he's getting his work. So it's taken some time, but he hasn't had the normal time to go through Ivan's progression of all the different things that you have to do to run the option. But he's gotten so much better and he continues to work. Obviously, it would have helped him if he was here in spring practice, but he played lacrosse. So just he's a credit to the kid. He stayed the course. He's worked hard. He's improved on his option mechanics under center. We don't have to go back and forth for him in a gun to try to do things he did in high school. And to your point, too, Masai coming in there and throwing some dimes too, and great testament to those kids and to their coach, who's the best in the business.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Pete.
Let's go to Dana Boyle, ESPN2.
Hey, Coach, just kind of along that same topic, are you able to give us any updates on Xavier? Will we see him in the game? And then how comfortable, obviously, both played in that last game, but do you feel with Maynard on the field?
I feel so much better after seeing him play against Cincinnati and Notre Dame. There's nothing we can do in practice to get him prepared against going against those guys. And so he played well in both games. But we feel good about X, talking today. I think he's on track, so we're excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll make another trip around. Phil Bergman.
Coach, it's an 11 a.m. start. Do you think with the early start, this is a benefit to your program since the mids are used to such an early schedule?
I hope so. And I hope the UCF is not used to early starts, but, nowadays, everybody, you do things early in football, but yes, we're normally up early starters here. And so with that said, we got off to a slow start last week into 12 a.m. start off. So I'm hoping we get to a fast start. I've been saying it for, 10, 11 straight games. And hopefully this will be one of the games like we did in Tulsa, get off to a fast start.
And on a more somber tone, horrific news out of Charlottesville today. Have you been in contact with former assistant Kevin Downing at all? And how's the staff doing down there?
Yeah, just reach out to people that we know and that I know. And it's a sad day for everyone. In our country, these things are sad. And, we just pray for those that are affected and their families. Players, coaches, staff, everybody involved. Just we're mindful of them, and all those that knew these, these people, we're just praying for all of them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Scott Wyckoff.
I'm all set, Coach. Have a good week.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
Well, Coach, somebody, actually, Eric Catani, I have to double check his information because he's new to the media and he only spent a half in the press box, but he said that he believes that Byron Rhodes got injured. So there was I think though on the block punt, it was a pretty slow snap. Was that not Byron?
Oh, he was Byron, he got there, but he was able to come back.
Okay. Well, so what did happen on the block punt in your opinion?
Yeah, we just got to execute it better. We had guys there, they just defeated the block. You know what I mean? It wasn't a schematic thing. We just got to execute it better, just block it, Wags. It wasn't like they shot somebody through or something like that. It just it took a hat to their kid. I mean, he made a good play, but we were there to block and they beat us on that one.
So I've been trying to reach out to some of the old Notre Dame beat writers like Pete Sampson and Tim O'Malley. They've been around a long time, but they can't remember a game that Notre Dame was held at 12 total yards and a half since USC in 2008. In that game, they only gained like 40 yards an entire game. But I mean, what can you say about a defensive effort where, I mean, they had just gone up and down the field in the first half and it was like, somebody took their Superman cape off.
Yeah, our kids played lights out. Coach Newberry stayed aggressive. We were in zero coverage a lot, and they got us a little bit in the first half, but we stayed aggressive. Had I known we had played like that in the second half, I maybe not have been so aggressive in some of the surprise onsides and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just some of the stuff that I did. Because we were struggling stopping them in the first half. I probably would have been more patient on some stuff, but I mean, I would have hoped that we played better on defense. I know we played that well. We played lights out, man. 5 sacks when we were coming, and you could tell he looked under duress. And so I mean, it was awesome. And I thought we played well. And like I said, offensively holding the ball for 10 minutes to start the third quarter helps too. But when you're out there for the quick 3 and outs, and we were coming after them, and our guys, I thought to play like that against anybody would be awesome, Wags, but to play like that against Notre Dame, like you said, just after they've done that in the first half, what a great testament to the kids, great testament to Coach Newberry and the defensive staff. They stuck to their guns, and we kept coming after them, and it was exciting.
So reluctantly, I'm going to ask this because I have a reader that sends me an email every week asking this question. He wonders why Navy uses the fullback to set up the pitch. Why can't you use the pitch to set up the fullback? And I try to explain to him that what you run is based off what the defense shows, and you don't just come out there and say, oh, we're going to throw the pitch 5 times, and guess what? That'll set up the fullback. But in deference to this guy, so he'll leave me alone, is it possible to use the pitch to set up the dive?
Wags, tell this guy we did. If he noticed the first play, we tried to pitch the ball, trying to stretch them. And then we noticed we got a yard. So we did try to stretch them a little bit too. So there is times that we do that. We do that a lot. We stretch you out, then we'll hit you inside. We'll make you take the fullback. You start to condense weather. But we actually started that way. We went outside. We tried to get the ball on the perimeter a little bit. And what you said is exactly right. We're going to take what you give us, but we're also able to set up things where we can put the ball where we want. If we want it in between the tackles, if we want it off tackle, if we want it on the edge, there's so many different type of options we can do that. And we actually started the game that way last week, try to get the ball on the edge first.
Well, and I mean, part of that is, you have to see how they're playing you. So if you throw a pitch, you want to know how are they reacting, and that will tell you how you counter, right?
And a lot of times we don't know how they're going to line up. We kind of knew how they would line up last week, because, Coach Freeman has done a good job the last two times playing us. So we kind of figured they'd do the same thing. So it's one of the few times. Yeah, and they mixed in with some out front. We kind of figured they'd do similar to what they did at South Bend since they held us to 6 points, and so we kind of knew they would try to move a little bit. So we felt better prepared for them this time. And it was probably the best. Our O-line played really well against them. I mean, those first 2 long runs, our O-line picked their stuff up really well. And so was encouraged by the way our guys blocked against really good people that, like I said, have been, I mean, you watch other games against big time people, they're hard to move the ball. I mean, they lost to Marshall and Stanford, but they're close games. I mean, it wasn't that they got outscored, just maybe North Carolina was their highest scoring game, but North Carolina goes so fast. They try to get, they're so up tempo, but we do have to see what they're doing. And a lot of times we start inside out, but sometimes we start outside in too.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Wax. Appreciate you guys.
I can tell you that for rushing yards for a game, it was the fewest by Notre Dame against Navy since 2009. Navy held them to 60 yards in that game in a 23-21 win.
Wow.
That was in South Bend. Pete.
It's Ricky's year, right?
It was, yeah.
Coach, I just got one more. I've really enjoyed watching Deshaun Peel play the last couple of weeks. To see him go down like that, really just becoming a really productive player for you. Thoughts on the way he has played and any long-term outlook at his situation?
Crush for the kid. He stayed his time, kind of got in early in the season, wasn't right ready. We moved him from wideout to cornerback, and he's still making some adjustments. And early on, got in the season and didn't do so good and kind of got backed up a little bit on the depth chart. Coach Green stayed with him, continued to nurture him. And, we had some injuries and, guys weren't playing as well, and he got a shot. And as soon as he got that second shot, he's been lights out. I mean, to me, it's kind of like X. Guys have kind of came back in and got another shot. And, man, they've made the most of their opportunities when, he's made great tackles on the perimeter. When he gets there, he gets people on the ground. When Coach Newberry's blitzed them, he's gone through to the quarterback. He's just really hated for the kid because he waited his turn and was playing really, really well.